Welcome to English with Zenko Master. Get ready to learn something new today.
When I was younger, I believed that if I gave love, I would receive love in return. I thought that if I worked hard, stayed kind, and believed in someone, they would stay. But I was wrong. My story is not about a perfect love. It is about how I gave too much to someone who never planned to stay. It is about losing everything and learning how to stand again. His name was Nathan. I met him at a friend's housewarming party on a quiet Saturday evening. I was not planning to stay long, but we started talking over a bowl of chips. He asked me simple questions. What did I do for work? What kind of books did I like? I remember that he smiled often and made people laugh without trying too hard. I was usually shy at events, but I did not feel that way around him. He made it easy. We met again a week later, this time on purpose. He invited me to a cafe in the old part of the city. It was small, with warm lights and old music playing softly. He ordered tea, I ordered coffee, and we talked for 2 hours. We laughed about silly things and shared small details about our lives. I told him I worked at a local library and enjoyed quiet evenings. He said he worked in sales, loved road trips, and cooked when he felt stressed. After that, we began seeing each other every few days. He would come to my flat with dinner or call me when he was free. Sometimes he would show up outside my building and say, "Let's go for a walk." We would walk for hours, not going anywhere special, just talking. He liked that I listened. I liked that he paid attention. For the first time in a long time, I felt wanted. My last relationship had ended badly, and it had left me doubting myself. Nathan was different. He was warm. He remembered things I said. When I mentioned my favorite song, he played it the next time we were in his car. When I talked about how I missed my grandmother's cooking, he found a recipe online and made something similar. One night, we sat on my sofa watching a movie, and he turned to me and said, "You feel like home." I remember those words clearly. They stayed in my heart. I believed them. I believed him. We dated for nearly 2 years. During that time, we met each other's families, went on holidays, and talked about the future. He once asked me what kind of wedding I liked. I told him I wanted something small and quiet, something simple with people I loved. He smiled and said, "That sounds perfect." My friends began asking when he would propose. I laughed and told them I was not in a rush, but the truth was, I was waiting. I had already imagined our life together. A little house, Sunday dinners, children maybe. I had made space for him in all my dreams. Then, one evening in November, he called and said he could not come over. He sounded tired. I asked if everything was okay. He said he was busy with work and needed some rest. I said I understood, but I felt something cold in his voice. The next few weeks were different. He texted less. He canceled more plans than he kept. I tried not to worry, thinking he was simply stressed. I told myself not to overthink. But inside, I was scared. I felt him slipping away, and I did not know how to hold on. I asked if we could meet and talk. He said he was not sure when he would be free. I waited. Days passed. Then weeks. One night, I sent him a long message asking if something had changed. He replied, "I need time to think. Please give me some space." I sat in my kitchen that night, staring at my phone, reading those words again and again. I did not cry. I just sat there, feeling empty. I remembered how he once said he would never hurt me. I remembered how I believed him. 3 more weeks passed. I heard nothing from him. No calls. No texts. Nothing. One morning, my friend Mia came to my flat with her phone in her hand. She looked worried. She sat down and said, "I need to show you something." Then she gave me her phone. There was a photo on the screen. It was Nathan. He was standing next to a woman in a long red dress. They were holding hands, smiling. Her hand was raised toward the camera, showing a ring. The caption read, "She said yes. Can't wait to spend forever with you." I could not breathe. I gave the phone back to Mia and stared at the wall. My ears rang. My hands felt cold. He had left me without a word. And now he was engaged. Engaged to someone else. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the world looked the same. Cars moved down the street. People walked by. But everything inside me had changed. I felt like a fool. I had loved him with everything I had, and he had not even said goodbye. The worst part was not that he had found someone else. It was that he had planned it while he was still with me. All the silence, the distance, the excuses, they made sense now. He was preparing to leave me for her. And I had waited. I had hoped. I spent the next days in silence. I did not answer calls. I did not go to work. I stayed in bed, looking at the ceiling, trying to understand what I had done wrong. I replayed every moment, every word, every kiss. I asked myself why I was not enough. But slowly, something inside me changed. One afternoon, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were tired. My face looked older than before. But there was something else. A question. Why do you keep breaking yourself for people who leave? It was the first honest question I had asked myself in weeks, and it stayed with me. That night, I opened my drawer and took out a small notebook. I wrote one sentence. I am not broken. I am learning. I closed the book and went to sleep. It was not much, but it was a beginning. Before I share the rest of my story, could you please tell me where you're from? It gives me strength to know there's someone out there who listens to me, who understands me. It means a lot to me. The notebook became a habit. Every night, I sat down and wrote something, even just a sentence. Sometimes it was a question, sometimes a memory, and sometimes it was only one word. But slowly, I began to hear my own voice again. It was quiet at first, but it was there. I also started going for short walks. At first, only around the block. I did not want to see anyone I knew. I was still afraid of running into him, or worse, her. But the air helped. The sky helped. The city was the same, but I was seeing it with new eyes. It felt like waking up after a long sleep. One morning, I returned to the library where I worked. My manager looked surprised, but she smiled. "Take your time," she said. "Start slow." I did. I shelved books and helped people at the desk. I stayed quiet, but I felt useful again. Being around stories helped. Seeing characters grow, change, and survive gave me a strange comfort. If they could do it, so could I. A few weeks later, I went to a cafe during my lunch break. I ordered tea and sat by the window. That was when I saw them. Across the street on the corner stood Nathan. He was holding her hand. She was laughing. He leaned close and kissed her cheek. She smiled and leaned into him. I froze. My hands started to shake, but I did not move. I watched them walk into a store together. I waited until they were gone, then I stood up and left the cafe. I walked back to work slowly, my heart beating too fast. That night, I did not write anything in my notebook. I sat for a long time thinking. I thought about how seeing him had felt. The truth was, it did not hurt the way I expected. It felt strange, yes. Sad, of course. But not like before. I was not falling apart. I was still standing. I was still here. A few days later, I got a message on social media. It was from a woman named Laura. I did not know her. She said, "Hi. I hope this is not strange. I wanted to ask you something. About Nathan." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. I said, "Yes, I knew him." "Why?" She replied quickly. "We dated a while back. I just found out he's engaged. I was shocked. I thought maybe you went through the same." We ended up exchanging a few messages. She told me that Nathan had dated her for 6 months. He told her she was special, that he saw a future. Then one day, he disappeared. No message, no goodbye. She had cried for weeks, then moved on. She had no idea he had done the same thing to someone else, me. That night, I cried. Not because I missed him, but because I realized how easily he had done this before. I was not the first, and I would not be the last. He had a pattern. He liked being adored, but he could not give real love in return. He walked away when things became real. I wrote a long entry in my notebook that night. I wrote about all the things I gave. My time, my trust, my hope. And then I wrote about all the things I was still holding. My strength, my kindness, my future. He did not take those from me. He never could. In the following weeks, I began doing things I had forgotten I loved. I took out my old camera and started taking photos again. I went to a local art class on Saturdays. I baked for my neighbors. I even joined a book club. The first time I walked into that room, I was nervous. But the women there were kind. They talked about characters and emotions like they mattered, and they made me laugh. One woman, Sarah, became a friend. She was honest and gentle, and she listened without trying to fix me. One evening after book club, she said, "You know, you're stronger than you think. I can see it in your eyes." I did not reply, but her words stayed with me. Months passed. Then one evening, I received a wedding invitation. My hands shook as I opened it. It was from Nathan's fiancée. Her name was Hannah. I remembered now he had mentioned her name once but never said much. The card said, "You're invited to celebrate our love. Join us for our special day." I stared at it for a long time. Why had she sent it? Did she know who I was? Did she know what he had done? I did not go, of course, but I thought about her that whole weekend. I thought about the dress she would wear, the photos they would take, the promises he would make. I wondered if he would keep them this time. I hoped so for her sake. I took the card and placed it at the back of my notebook. I did not keep it out of pain, but as a reminder that I had survived, that I had been part of his story, but I did not need to be part of his future. A year after it all ended, I went to a new city for a short holiday. I stayed in a small guest house near a park. Every morning, I walked to the same cafe. One morning, I met a man there. His name was Daniel. He was reading a book I had loved years ago. I said something about it and we began to talk. We met again the next day, and the next. He was kind, soft-spoken, and patient. He did not ask too many questions, and he listened when I spoke. I did not feel nervous around him. I did not feel like I had to be perfect. I felt calm. On our last day, we walked by the river. He turned to me and said, "You have this quiet strength. I noticed it the first time we met." I smiled. I did not tell him everything, but I said, "Thank you. I'm learning to see it too." We kept in touch after that. We exchanged letters at first, then calls. I do not know what the future holds with him. I do not need to. What matters is that I am no longer afraid of the future. I am no longer waiting for someone to choose me. I have already chosen myself. I used to think the ring meant everything, the promise, the future, the proof of love. But now I know the real promise is the one you make to yourself. To never settle for less than you deserve. To never let someone else decide your worth. She got the ring, but I got my life back. It is strange how time moves. When you are in pain, it moves slowly. Every hour feels like a day. Every day feels like a mountain. But once you start healing, The days pass more easily. You stop counting them. You stop waiting for something to change. You begin to live again. That was what happened to me. I stopped looking at my past like it was my whole story. I started to see it as only one chapter. And I understood something important. It was not my fault that he left. It was not my fault that he made promises he could not keep. People leave for their own reasons, not always because of what you did or did not do. One Saturday afternoon, I visited my parents. They lived outside the city, in a quiet town with clean streets and green parks. My mother made tea and asked how I was. My father sat reading his newspaper, but I knew he was listening. I told them about my new life, my work at the library, the book club, the art class, and Daniel. My mother looked happy but careful. I knew what she was thinking. She wanted to be sure I was not hurt again. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. "I'm better than okay," I said. "I feel like myself again." It was the truth. For the first time in a long time, I felt calm inside. I did not wake up with a heavy heart. I did not spend the evenings wondering what I had lost. I was looking forward instead of back. Daniel and I continued to talk often. We did not rush into anything. We both had pasts. We both had wounds. But we spoke honestly. He told me about a woman he once loved who moved abroad and never came back. I told him about Nathan in simple words, without too much detail. He listened without judgment. He did not try to fix it or offer advice. He simply said, "Thank you for sharing that with me." That was enough. Some months later, I was at the library when I saw Nathan again. He walked in with a woman. She was pregnant. They moved past the front desk and went to the children's section, perhaps for a book on parenting or baby names. He did not see me. I stayed behind one of the tall bookshelves, my heart beating fast. I watched them for a moment. They looked happy. He looked older, a bit more serious. I waited until they left before I returned to my desk. That night, I thought about them, not with anger or sadness, but with peace. He had made his choice, and so had I. His world no longer touched mine. I did not need answers. I did not need closure. What I needed, I had already found. After that day, I began to take more steps forward. I spoke at a small community event about healing and self-worth. I was nervous, but the people who came were kind. They nodded and smiled, and some even cried. After the talk, a woman came up to me and said, "Thank you. You said what I've been feeling for years." That meant more to me than anything else. If my pain could help someone else feel less alone, then it had meaning. Daniel came to support me that evening. He stood in the back, watching quietly. When I finished, he hugged me and said, "I'm proud of you." In the following months, we saw each other more often. He visited the city whenever he could. We would meet at our favorite cafe, walk in the park, or cook dinner together. He never rushed me. He let me grow at my own pace. One evening, as we watched the sunset from my balcony, he said, "I don't want to push you, but if you're ever ready, I'd like to be a bigger part of your life." I smiled. "I'm getting there," I said. "And I want that too." We did not talk about rings or weddings. Not yet. That was not the most important thing. What mattered was the feeling of safety, of care, of shared space. I knew that if something did go wrong, he would not disappear. He would talk. He would stay, or he would leave with honesty. That was enough for me. Later that year, I received a message from Hannah. Yes, the same Hannah who had married Nathan. She wrote, "Hi. I hope it's okay that I'm writing to you. I wanted to say something that's been on my mind for a while. I know about you. I found out some things recently about how things ended between you and Nathan. I didn't know any of it before the wedding. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. No one does." I sat for a long time after reading it. I had not expected that. I thought I had moved past everything, but her message brought up feelings I did not know I still had. I replied the next day. I said, "Thank you for your message. It means a lot. I hope you are well." That was it. No blame. No questions. No anger. Just peace. After I sent it, I closed my phone and stepped outside. The sky was open and wide, full of soft pink and orange clouds. I walked down the street feeling light, like I had put something heavy down for the last time. Some journeys begin with love. Others begin with loss. Mine began with both. I lost someone who never truly saw me, but in that loss, I found myself. I found the parts of me I had hidden to make someone else comfortable. I found the strength I didn't know I had. She got the ring, yes, but I got something stronger. I got freedom. I got peace. I got the power to choose myself every day. And that, I believe, is the real happy ending. I hope have enjoyed the story. Like and comment if you want to hear more soon.